Hey guys, Vader here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Spires, Emerald Seas, out February 14th on Frontiers Music. This album has 13 tracks, 49 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. This is a theatrical concept album, and what I mean by that is this is an album that goes beyond the concept of telling you a story. They really wanted to create something a lot bigger, a lot larger than that. So what they did was they grabbed that concept, they grabbed the story, and then they allowed that story to permeate through every single element of the record, either be the vocals, the individual track structure, the overall structure of the album, the atmosphere that the album has. Everything, every element, the sound, every element on this record is there to fit the story, is there to enhance the storytelling aspect of the album. And the story is the one of a sea captain that's in search for eternal life. And this is a prequel to the story that they told you on their debut record. Now, from a sound perspective, I really like what they did here. They didn't pigeonhole the album into one category, into one genre. They really went at this album with an open mind and just grabbed each song. They look at what part of the story that song belonged to and what better sound would be suited for that portion of the overall story. So some songs you have a little bit more of a symphonic element, some songs more of a just pure heavy metal sound, some a little bit more of death metal. There's a little bit of everything. There's not one genre that dominates throughout the album. You just have a mixture of a lot of different sounds, a lot of different genres in order to create the best sound possible, to paint the best picture possible. Think of this as the book. The lyrics are the story that's being told to you, while the music is the illustration. That's the best way to describe this record. Really complex, really dynamic, a lot of moving pieces, but they did it in a very good job and they did it in a very good way. They really created an album that really comes to life. You really feel like you're listening to an audiobook more than you are listening to a metal record. And that, to me, I think is the approach that they wanted to take. And if that's the approach they wanted to take, they definitely achieved it, because they created an album that absolutely jumps at you and comes to life. The story comes to life with every single song. Another component of that story coming to life, it definitely is Adrienne's vocals. Her voice is magnificent. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody who's listened to Seven Spires or anything that she's touched. She has a beautiful voice, magnificent range, and it's on full display on this record. I really feel like she is one of the main catalysts, one of the driving forces of the album. Definitely the soundscape, the overall atmosphere, the overall concept that the sound carries on a song-by-song basis is one of the main elements of the album, but you cannot have that without an incredible vocalist like Adrienne. You think about a record like this, that is this dynamic, that is this big as far as sound is concerned, and you see a lot of bands pulling this off with multiple vocalists. You do it here with only one single vocalist. That is not an easy thing to do. That is not an easy approach to take. And in my opinion, she did it really well, really mixing her range with clean vocals, harsh vocals, depending on what the story asked for. That was another element that to me was really important from a vocal perspective, is that she used exactly what was needed on that portion of the story. If the story asked for something a little bit more melancholic, a little bit darker, she went with a more darker tone to her voice. If there was a little bit more of anger, more intensity, she went with harsh vocals. She really knew exactly how to bring the story to life with her voice, and to me that's something that's absolutely fundamental for an album like this. The overall sound that the record has, like I said, is very dynamic. The genres really change and mix, not only within track by track basis, but really within each single track. It's very fluid from that perspective. But I really like the sound on the album. It's very layered, very textured, includes a lot of different elements from a lot of different styles, and really enhances the overall listening experience and really enhances the overall concept that the album has. This album really paints a vivid picture. I really have to emphasize on that, because I really felt taken back by the album. I was not expecting the album to be this robust, both vocally and musically. I was not expecting to get this involved into it. I really felt lost into the story, and you really feel like you're part of it, like you're almost a character within the story. The album flows very well on a track-by-track basis. That has a lot to do with the overall structure of the album, but also the individual structure of the songs. The songs have very dynamic individual structures, very different from each other. It's very hard to find two songs that have a lot of the same similar characteristics when it comes to structure, but then when you look at the overall album, they just really flow well into the other. You really feel like there's a continuation. Not that you have songs that bleed one into the other, or one ends and the other one starts. No, but the overall atmosphere that the tracks have are really well merged, and you really feel like there's a simple fluidity throughout the record as you're listening to the album. This album overall really continues what they did with the first record. In my opinion, they really took steps forward, because this to me is a more robust, more mature, more polished, more well-crafted, all-rounded record. It really shows growth from them, and it really shows that when you have talented musicians, you can do anything you want to do. Sky is the limit. This is a band that, in my opinion, is worth by how good the individuals are. The collective is so strong, but that is all because the individual pieces within that collective are strong within themselves. That is Seven Spires, in my opinion, and this album is a result of that. You really feel this perfect symbiosis between all the members of the band. Everybody knows what they need to do, everybody knows what to do, and then they come together and they just feed off of each other to create a living piece of art on this record. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start with No Words Exchange. The vocals on this song are really interesting, very calm and mellow at times, and a little bit, there's some sparks of intensity here and there. At moments it almost feels like a lullaby. The way the vocals are coming at you, it's almost rocking you to sleep, sort of speaking. I really like that approach. The guitars pick a little bit of a bite on this track. They have a little bit of a heavier tone to it, and the drums also bring a little bit of a heaviness to it. That's something that you're going to get through from the drums almost throughout every single song on this album. They always find a way, regardless of how melodic the track is, and this is an album that's extremely melodic. The drums always find a way to add a little bit of heaviness to it. Same thing with the guitars. They always find a way to increase a little bit of intensity, add a little bit of a bite. And this song, to me, is really a representation of that, because overall, the vocals are light as a feather. Even with a little bit of here and there of more intensity on the vocal approach, they never get really heavy. So you almost need something to counterbalance that, to bring this song down a little bit. And in my opinion, that really comes from the guitars and the drums. That really balances out the song extremely well. Great atmosphere, great atmospheric soundscapes that this song has. It really has this sense of a dream state. I really like how this song is put together. I like how the song is delivered. Next, Silvery Moon. The orchestration on this track is absolutely phenomenal. To me, one of the main ingredients of this song. The song has, it could easily be, in my opinion, a Broadway piece. It really has this theatrical sound to it, has this theatrical approach to it, and the overall structure of the song and how it's put together, how the vocals, how the sound comes at you, it just has this Broadway feel. The guitar solo comes in and destroys a little bit of that. The guitar solo is very heavy, in my opinion. It really comes in and it changes the complete dynamic of the song, because up until that point, it almost feels like a musical. So the guitar solo really changes things around. It really puts a little bit of metal and heavy into this song. It really creates a different dynamic, but I like that. It added power to the song, and more important, it added power to the melody that this track has. And that opens the doors to the vocals, that increase in intensity in the vocals as well. You see that it's a song that starts off very melodic, very melancholic, like I said, almost like a Broadway piece, but then when the guitars are allowed to explode, the vocals are allowed to explode with a little bit more intensity and a little bit more bravado. The drums follow suit, and then you have a portion of the song that's a lot more dynamic. There's this huge peak, you see this crescendo to the track, and then you see the song returning to its original approach, coming full circle, becoming a lot more melodic, a lot more melancholic, a song that goes absolutely full circle. Next, Bury You, a very stripped down song, a song that has a very different vibe from the previous two. I really like the melody that this song carries in the background, either be from the keyboards or from the guitars, but it's a song that's very stripped down, has a very stripped down effect, very melodic, and that to me is really important for this song to work. I like the intensity that the chorus has. The chorus is definitely the heartbeat of the song, has a lot more aggression. I don't even want to call it aggression, definitely more intensity. It feels like there's a little bit more of a push forward. So it's a song that has a very melodic, a very straight linear approach as far as the verses are concerned, with this peak reaching up into the sky during the chorus. I really like that dynamic. It really creates a wonderful dynamic between the verses and the chorus that works extremely well. You have this magnificent peak with peaks with every single chorus, just to reflect how deep the valleys are during the verses. So I really like that. It also has a magnificent guitar solo, one of my favorites, and I really like what Jack did with the guitar solo on this song, because he took the melody that the song had and he created that into his solo. So it's not like the solo comes in and destroys everything, or the solo is like over the top, or it's very different from the dynamic that the track has up until that point. No, he included a lot of the melody, a lot of the overall sound that was present on the song all the way up until the solo, and he incorporated that into his solo in order to create even more melody, to create even more sound, to give the song more texture. I really like the solo, and I really like the solo for what it does to the song and for what it represents within the track. Magnificent song, a song that has great vocals. I mean, that goes without saying. Every song on this album has great vocals. Adrian's vocals are absolutely phenomenal, and this song I really felt that what they did with the vocals was what was different from the rest of the record. Towards the third end of the song, you see them using a lot of backing vocals, a lot of layers to the vocal track to give it a little bit more volume, to give a little bit more texture, without making it heavy, without making it, without having to use harsh vocals. Still using clean vocals, very melodic, but by creating different layers to those vocals, you really give more texture, more volume. You make the vocals seem a lot more robust, without having to do anything else with it, without having to change the overall sound or the overall dynamics of the track, and I really enjoyed that. That to me was a huge plus for this song. Alright guys, this is it. This is 7 Spires, Emerald Seas, out February 14th on Frontiers Music. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care guys.